I don't know what the deal is. I look like the guy in Beetlejuice in the waiting room with the shrunken head. Why is my head so small? Today is a book review Friday. I love doing these series, and I know a lot of you love it as well. So thank you so much for, being so supportive and loving my channel. And I get to do all of these again. This is like part 2. This is like same thing that happened in the other video. Anyway, as I was saying, it just feels so amazing to get to do all of these things that I love, and that you guys receive it so warmly, and you're so kind to me. And funny story, actually this has happened a couple of times now. I go to my post office, to my P.O. box that I have for you guys about once a week, and it never fails. Every time I go, I was always surprised that there was something in it, let alone how much stuff there would actually be in my P.O. box. Every time I'm like, okay, it's died down, everyone kind of got me out of their system, and I go, and every time I open up my box, there's something in my box, plus additional keys to open up bigger boxes, plus little slips that they give to me so that I can knock at their door and they can give me additional items. A couple of weeks ago, I was at my post office box and waiting in line, and I had a bunch of little yellow slips, and this one lady walks by me, and I'm just standing waiting in line like everyone else, and she walks by me, she's like, are you Crafty Girl? And I was like, yeah, how do you know that? She's like, well, everyone in the post office, knows you. And I was like, oh, wow, is that a bad thing? And she's like, no. She was like, you're just so loved. She was like, people send you so much stuff. And like, my heart melted. And then I felt instinctively very protective of you guys, and I was like, I know. I was like, I've never been treated so wonderful, special, like I'm worth something. And that's just the honest truth. And I was like, yes, I know that I'm very loved, and I'm like very grateful for you guys. And it's not because you send me items, it's because of all of the comments that you guys leave down below. But this also goes as a shout out to all of my viewers that watch me and don't comment. I know that you must love my channel as well, because I'm the same kind of YouTuber. I love watching my favorite YouTubers, and I love them so much, and I'm such a loyal fan, and I always watch their videos. I'm always waiting for their videos, but I just never comment. That doesn't mean I don't love them and I don't appreciate them. So I'm just so grateful for all of you. It just blows my mind every time I go in there. Like, are you Crafty Girl? Who, me? So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on my book reviews. Usually I do a book review every Friday, and I picked out my book last Saturday or Sunday, and I posted a picture of my selection on my Instagram account. So in case you love my book reviews and you want to read along with me and wait for Friday to see what I'm going to say about the book, follow me on Instagram, CheapCraftyGirl, if you're interested in that. I also post ahead of time of when I'm doing my hauls and little previews and little sneak peeks of certain videos before anyone obviously on YouTube ever finds out. That is the only social media account I have. I don't have any plans to do a Twitter or a Facebook, to be honest. Although, let me know if you guys want me to do a Snapchat. I love Snapchatting, it's super fun. I have a personal one. Let me know if you guys want me to do something like that. Comment down below. Originally, shame. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Anyone watch Lily Sings on YouTube? So shame, no bra. Lily Sings has got to be my all-time favorite YouTuber ever. I'm obsessed with her. She actually does these characters of her parents. They're Indian, and Manjeet and Padamjeet, and I'm just like, I can't even handle it. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. So funny that people like Jimmy Fallon and all of these stars, Selena Gomez, people from Pretty Little Liars, big time movie stars, love her and find her hysterical. Go check her out, Lily Sing. I think her channel's called Superwoman, and I'll link her channel down below for you guys. She certainly does not need my shout out nor my help with her 8 million subscribers. And she does a lot of different videos as well. She does really like funny videos about like how people are in relationships, why do airlines suck. She's a very funny person, although whenever she does her parents, I'm just die. And my favorite one, in case you want one to start off with, is her doing her parents when they fight. So if you just Google or YouTube Lily seeing how my parents fight, so freaking funny. Anyway, the reason why I did that is because, you know, Indian women are very reserved, and when Paramjeet's bra shows up, she's like, oh, it's a shame, shame, it's a shame, shame. So this might be a long video because I'm extra chatty today. Okay, so this was the book that I had taken a picture of and put on my Instagram account that this was what I was going to review today. It's called The Midnight Thief, although I can't review this, you guys. I changed my book. That's right. We are going to be reviewing Hunger Games instead, because I was like 99 pages in and I was like, where's the romance? The romance isn't here yet. Now, every reader is different, and if you've watched my book reviews, you know that I love romance. I love historical romance. I definitely pick out books that I just picture myself as the character, and this one just was a snooze fest for me. So I figured I would go ahead and switch to a book that I know I could talk all day, all night, all week about, and that's Hunger Games. Hunger Games has already been out, all 3 installments. I can't find the book for Catching Fire because I used it for a DIY. And so I do have Catching Fire, and I have Mockingjay, which is the last one. This is the second one. This is the first one. Maybe some of you have already read it, seen the movies, but this is just kind of my opinion and how I feel about this book. So the first thing that I remember about Hunger Games was how controversial it was, because in this book, you basically, like, there were little children who were killed off, who were thrown into the Hunger Games, and it just wasn't received warmly. And of course it's not, because no one really wants children to die at all, right? But this is just a book, and these are things that would never happen. And with that knowledge in mind, it was still a really amazing book, and it's definitely different. And it's like, wow, I mean, what an idea to put this book together, and the characters and the ideas and all of this stuff on how the world could end up being one day. Not that it ever would get to like Hunger Games. If you don't know what Hunger Games is about, let me just go ahead and give you like a brief summary. It's fast forward way into time. There's been like basically a huge civil war. And by the time it was done and said, so many people had died. And the way that the government took control of that was they created something called the Hunger Games. And they made 12 districts. So to me, it seems like they're talking about the United States, because the author, Suzanne Collins, talks about certain areas like LA or in like North Carolina, kind of like areas that you know are like existing today, but they don't call it by the states anymore. They go by districts, and each district has a certain purpose. They each make something, build something that services the capital, and the capital is like the head, the top, the poncho, where all the good people get to live. There's food aplenty. Everyone dresses very bizarre. It's very futuristic. And, you know, like characters like Effie Trinket, and they just like, oh my God, everything's fabulous. Oh, we're killing off children? That's all right. You know, that's basically how their life goes. They don't see it the way that the districts do. They see it as a movie. And Katniss Everdeen changes all of that. Saying her name chills, okay? Saying her name chills. And in the movie, she's played by Jennifer Lawrence, who, whoo, can we talk about acting skills on fleek, people? I just love Jennifer Lawrence, and no one could have played Katniss Everdeen like her. No one. The 12 districts, a lot of them are poor. Some of them, the closer that you kind of get to the capital, like 12 is the furthest from the capital, which is where Katniss Everdeen is from. It's the coal mining district. They just produce coal. It's basically it. And then 11, 10, 9, 8, all that. The closer that you get to the capital, I guess, the more money they have and the healthier that the people are. Basically, Katniss's father dies in a coal mining accident and her mom like checks out. And you have to put your name into the drawing of Hunger Games once you're of age. Doesn't matter, your name goes in once. But if you put in your names multiple times, they'll give you bread and oil and all of these things. So Katniss is always putting her name into the pot because she needs these items. She needs this food because her father has died and there's no way for them to bring in money any longer. And she actually almost starves to death. And that's where Peeta comes in. Who watched my last book review when I picked Peeta as my future husband? Yeah. So we'll get to Peeta. Oh, we will get to Peeta, okay? I will talk about Peeta all day long. Katniss makes sure that her sister Primrose Everdeen, really, the Hunger Games is all about Prim. Really, at the end of the day, all Katniss wants to do is protect Prim. And then she adds a second person to that list, which is Peeta. All she wants to do is protect both of them. So every year, it's called the Reaping, and every year somebody from the capital comes in and draws a name from the girls and a name from the boys, and those two go in to the Hunger Games to represent their district, but only one comes out a survivor. All the other children die. And it's horrible, it's horrific. That no one gets joy from that by any means, so it is just a story. In the end, Primrose, her name gets drawn, even though it's in the bucket of names one time. And of course what happens, Katniss Everdeen volunteers as a tribute to take her sister's place, which electrifies the nation. She's like hysterical. She's like, no, I volunteer. I volunteer as tribute. I'm going in for my sister. You're not taking my sister. And as she's walking up to the podium, her face says everything. It says, I'm gonna die. I'm not going to make it. You know, there are other districts that are healthier, stronger, that are trained to actually do this. And that's her lot in life, and she's fine with it. And then the boy names gets drawn, and Peeta's name, Peeta Mellark. Peeta loves Katniss. He loves Katniss more than anything. And that is why shame. Even though there wasn't that much like love and romance, Suzanne Collins gave me just enough to make me swoon. Make me want to be Katniss, make me want to have Peeta. Forget Peeta, I just want Josh Hutcherson, period. That's who plays Peeta Mellark. And that's crazy because I guess that would make me a cougar. I don't even know how old he is. I should probably look into that before I'm talking about a man that's younger than I am. But, okay, I'm just really honest apparently. And I always used to get so mad about the people who are like, I want Gale, Team Gale. I want Katniss to be with Gale. I didn't see Gale's behind volunteering as tribute to protect Katniss. If he loved Katniss so much, I didn't see his hand go up. I didn't see him try to take Peeta's place. As a matter of fact, there was a second time that Gale could have done that because in this book, guess what happens? The president is so mad at Katniss for what she does in this book that he finds a way to put her and Peeta back into the games. So anyhow, I never understood the Gale thing. He just doesn't love Katniss the way Peeta does. Peeta loves Katniss just with everything that he has, completely selfless. And how could you not love somebody like that? As time goes on into the Hunger Games, she realizes how much she needs Peeta in her life. And it just hits her like a brick wall. It really does. If you read through all of these books, you suddenly realize Katniss really just isn't warm and friendly. And the only person that her heart loves. It's her sister, and then Rue, which is one of the tributes in this book. And then you realize, wow, Peeta is somebody she cannot live without. And that makes it such a strong, strong book. So how this book goes is she goes into the Hunger Games with Peeta, and Peeta knows that he's going to die. And he actually says something in the book that really like gets me. And Peeta says amongst all of them, he's like, my parents said that, you know, District 12 is finally going to have its winner. And Katniss looks at him like, wow, you're egotistical. And Peeta goes, they weren't talking about me. Did that line not give you chills just then? So what happens is when they get to the Hunger Games, a lot of people actually start forming little groups. And there's one group called the Careers. And they're like from District 1. They're freaking lethal. They have no remorse, no feelings, no emotion, nothing. And they just want to kill Katniss. And they enlist Peeta to help them. But Peeta, of course, is trying to basically protect Katniss. The head maker of the games, I think that's what he's called, the head game master, or the somebody. I don't know what he's called, but he is basically in charge of the Hunger Games. And Katniss is on her own while she thinks Peeta's trying to kill her, but really Peeta's trying to save her. And Katniss becomes friends with another tribute named Rue, and she is just a beauty. She's stunning, she's soft, quiet, and she reminds Katniss of her sister Prim. And so she kind of takes in Rue, and of course Rue gets injured and dies, and Katniss goes just berserk. She's not okay with it, and without even realizing it, she starts a rebellion. Because in the games, she basically buries Rue, treats her body with respect. She puts flowers all around her, she sings her this song, and then she just does a tribute to, Rue's district. She gives her district the 3 fingers, which is what District 12 does. It's a sign of respect. And back in the districts, everyone took that moment as if she is brave enough to do something like that, to let everyone see that, there's a rebellion. Everyone starts fighting, all of the police in the districts, and all of this stuff happens. Katniss has no idea that it's happened. She basically finds out that the rules have changed. They're going to allow 2 victors, 2 tributes to win if they're in the same district. And her first thought is Peeta. I've got to get to Peeta, got to pair up with Peeta. And Peeta ends up getting hurt from trying to save her from the Careers. And she ends up taking care of Peeta. There's a lot of love going on, and the whole time Gale's watching it. No one cares, Gale. You could have volunteered to be a tribute and you didn't. So do you really love Katniss at the end of the day? No, you're just a big old baby. If you have not read the books or watched the movie, I think it's really great, especially if you love movies like Twilight and Divergent, things like that. You'll definitely love Hunger Games. Chances are, if you've seen those 2, you've probably seen Hunger Games. It's absolutely a fantastic movie. It's one of the few movies that I will go watch opening night, which I don't like to do. So in my last book review, I talked about Evan, and he is the male character in a new series called The Fifth Wave. Very exciting. I absolutely adored it, loved Evan so much. And then I thought, well, of all of my favorite male characters, who would I want to be with? And I threw out Edward Cullen, Evan, and Peeta Mellark. Of course, there's also Tobias. He's from Divergent. And comparing, if we could just compare those 4 characters, you've got Edward Cullen, who's a vampire. You've got Evan, who's an alien. You've got Peeta, who's human. And then you've got Tobias, who's human, but he's divergent. And of all of those 4 characters, Peeta Mellark is just the best one for me. And what makes it extra special is he's human. He doesn't actually have any superpowers other than he just loves Katniss to no end. He frickin' loves this girl. And he doesn't care if he dies, because he's like, if I'm protecting you, that's all that I want in my life. And it's actually kind of funny because in the last book, not funny actually, but what makes the series really exciting is that they capture Peeta and they brainwash him, which is very sad. And let me tell you, in the second part, because they split up Mockingjay into 2 movies, and in the last movie where Katniss grabs his face and he's like half brainwashed, but he's like, something about this seems real. And she's like, please stay with me. And he goes, always. And they kiss. I don't even know how we got to that point, honestly. I'm gonna go back in editing and I'll be like, you're a fool. You're a damn fool. My decision's still the same. Peeta Mellark. If all 4 of these guys were lined up right in front of me, I'd be like, Peeta. Tobias is a really gorgeous character. He's definitely very yummy and divergent. He's great. Evan's great. Edward Cullen's great. Peeta's just the best for me. And if you haven't seen these movies or read the books, I hope that you do, because I think they're fabulous. I think they're great. To be fair, it's probably a good idea that I end this book review now, because I'm sitting here looking at my camera and how many times or how long like this video has been going, and I think to myself, chances are you could probably talk about Peeta for the next 2 hours, and I'm pretty sure you've made your point. You love Peeta. And I do. So absolutely love this series. I hope that you guys do too. Comment down below. Let me know how you feel about Peeta or the series in general. So yeah, I hope that you guys love this book review, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! Dear Peeta, you don't know this yet, but you love me. I know you're 23, and I'm 34, but age is just a number. I picked you over Edward, Evan, Tobias. You kind of owe me. Besides, I mean, Katniss has so much baggage. Heart. Just to make it clear though, I have a very busy life. I plan, I do pocket letters, and when I'm not doing that, I'm watching Golden Girls. So don't be too clingy. Love, Mrs. Mellark. He's going to love this.